Predictably, there has been absolutely no reckoning on the left about how their despicable, heightened, violent rhetoric of bullseyes and Hitler and Nazi comparisons helped create an environment where Thomas Matthew Crooks nearly took the life of President Trump. Indeed, it's only the independent media, like this show, and on X under Elon Musk, that is producing the receipts of how the rhetoric of leftist commentators and broadcasters was nothing short of dangerous. The best example comes in the form of the hate-filled James O'Brien. Now, this guy is a mainstream hard-left presenter on the UK's biggest commercial news station, LBC. But just listen to the way he actively encouraged his millions of listeners to take a shot at Donald Trump with absolutely no blowback or pushback. Watch.
So if anyone wants to take a shot at Trump, maybe they should make it. Not literally, obviously. Although on second thought, we're just coming up to noon.
Now, it is genuinely astonishing that he was able to say such a thing with literally no consequences. I'm a free speech absolutist, so he can go right ahead. And I need to be clear about this because it is a nuanced and important point. Today, I am not calling for O'Brien to be sacked. I just think his comments reveal the true character of the slimeball. But we know full well that is not the environment in which the British media operates. On the right, we are lambasted and censored and shut down for anything the woke left considers unacceptable to their narrative. As Chris Rose wrote, for consistency, James O'Brien should be reported to Ofcom since he would be the first to complain if AGB News host said this about Biden. And Lawrence Fox posted on X, thank God he's only advocating for the assassination of a presidential candidate and not saying something truly dangerous like he doesn't want to shag someone. Move along, Ofcom. Nothing to see here. And look, of course, this situation is pretty personal for Lawrence and I. You probably know the media hysteria surrounding his comments on my former GB News show, that he didn't want to shag the left-wing journalist Ava Santina that caused such a storm. We were both driven from our jobs. Now, remember, I didn't even actually say anything other than awkwardly laugh and then push back and claim that Ava was a beautiful woman. But still, the MSM sent film crews to outside my house. The off-communists tried to brand me misogynist, and my employers pathetically gave in to the woke mob. When you consider the rank hypocrisy over the past few days from the British MSM, it is unquestionable that they are now the enemy of the people, dying and not to be trusted. So I salute this epic takedown by MAGA Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene to a British reporter from Times Radio. Now, she was attempting to create a gotcha moment over these jokey but all too real comments from JD Vance suggesting the UK could become the world's first Islamist nuclear superpower.
By the way, I have to beat up on the UK just one additional thing. I was talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran, maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK, since Labour just took over. But to my Tory friends, I have to say, you guys have got to get a handle on this, but neither here nor there.
No outrage, right, about that comment. I think he's talking sense and actually was providing some levity to a serious point as well. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was not having any of the bull from the British MSM. This, what I'm about to show you, is one of the best media takedowns I've ever seen.
So Vance, he said that the UK could be the first Islamist country with nuclear weapons under the new Labour government. Doesn't that paint a a sour picture for relations with the UK.
Well, let's talk about the words of the Democrats and Joe Biden that have also labeled President Trump as a fascist, labeled all of us as Nazis and Hitler, completely lied, demonizing him so much so that a young man, a 20-year-old, which is hard to imagine, actually climbed onto a roof and tried to murder President Trump.
You said that the Democrats wanted the shooting
Let's talk
to
about
happen.
people like you.
Where's your evidence
let's talk
of
about
that?
people like you
But where's your
that
evidence of those
demonize
claims?
people like me, President Trump. You know, I have some of the most highest amount of death threats because of people like you. Because you choose to only take certain words from people, and then that's what you want to report. Shame on you. Shame on you.
But
Because
where's your evidence?
no. You're the problem. And where's this woman from?
The Times.
You're from the Times? Okay, you're ridiculous. And you're the problem in our country. You lie about people like me. This is the first time you've ever talked to me. I want you to know, I'm a regular person like you. I'm also a mom. I have 3 kids. And we have to put up with the most unreal amount of bullshit because of little liars like you that take your job and turn it into political activism. Your job is the press. You should report the news. Not
And
lie,
I'm
no,
asking for
not lie
evidence.
about it. You don't get to ask any more questions. I'm done with you.
Okay.
Because you're the cause. You're
One
the
more thing,
cause
you
of
call
our
the
country.
Democrats a
No.
party
You're
of
the cause of
pedophiles.
our
Do you have
country
any
being
response to
divided.
that?
You're the cause of our country being divided. You're the cause of President Trump almost being assassinated. You're the cause of everything wrong
where's
in
your
America.
evidence of those
No,
claims?
you're done. You're done. Yeah, go back.
Thank
Go back.
you.
Okay.
Inject me with that. Loved it. And look, there are countless examples of the Be Kind left being shown up over the past few days, like this rainbow mask-clad anti-Trump protester talking about being worried about political violence, all while advocating for the shooting of Trump.
Can I get your reaction to what happened the other day?
Well, it's a shame the person missed, but it's ironic that the shooter was also a Republican, and I am scared about political violence.
You're scared of political violence, but you were hoping that he wouldn't have missed.
Yes.
Wow.
These people. It would be funny if they weren't so sick. And of course, Jack Black has turned on his Tenacious D bandmate Kyle Gass, who made this joke about wanting Trump to be shot dead on stage in Australia.
Make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time.
And the left are getting a piece of their own medicine. That bloke, Gass, has had his agent dump him. Jack Black, his best mate, has cancelled the Tenacious D tour and wants nothing to do with him. So it's now happening to the other side of politics. And I want to be really clear. I'm not advocating for the cancellation of folk who make jokes or even those who make revolting comments. We have to be able to do that. But what I am saying is that the hypocrisy and bias in the MSM and political establishment over what is considered acceptable on the left and on the right is bordering on psychotic. But to react to that and so much more, Father Calvin Robinson is today's outsider. Calvin Robinson, this is such an interesting one, isn't it? Because can you just imagine for a second if you or I had half-jokingly called on Joe Biden to be shot and then there was an assassination attempt against him? We would be removed from polite society. It would be leading international headlines around the world. But when it's James O'Brien, let's just turn the other way, right?
This is the problem, Dan. I forget how many times we've been cancelled between us now. I've been cancelled from GB News, the Church of England, the Conservative Party. If you or I says or does anything that the left do not like, they will chop our heads off without even thinking about it. But now the shoe is on the other foot. Now it's the left who are in trouble. And actually, I don't think we have to be as generous. I don't think we have to say, no, we're not calling for cancel culture. I think when someone like James O'Brien incites violence for the death of the previous leader of the free world, we should absolutely say, no, your job is gone. You cannot be in your job anymore. It's inappropriate for you to be in the media and calling for a politician of another country to die. It's outrageous. The double standards, they know no bounds. But the problem is the left do not care about the hypocrisy. All we do on the right is hold up the mirror and say, look, you're being a hypocrite. They don't care because they hate us that much.
The thing is, Calvin, I would agree to an extent, but for me, it's about there being a level playing field. So what infuriates me is that, seriously, the left can act as if what Lawrence said on my GB News show was some sort of crime. And yet when O'Brien is saying something like that, it's literally just ignored. And we've seen loads of examples of this. David Aronovich, too, literally 2 weeks before the attempted assassination on Trump, suggested that Biden murder Trump. He's still on the BBC. He's still broadcasting on the BBC. Nothing has been done about him. Why it's so important that I'm independent? Because I'm only ever going to tell you about products that I use and truly believe in and think can improve your life. So that's why I'm so delighted today to tell you about Verso. As you may know, I have entered my 40s and the importance of staying healthy as I age has become really critical to me. So after a very stressful year, I've decided to focus on prioritizing my health so that I can stay as fit and sharp as possible while living a good life and still being busy and engaged. I now exercise virtually every day and take my nutrition seriously with the 16-8 fast, but that only gets me so far. Scientists like David Sinclair have proven we can now reverse aging with interventions that go beyond healthy habits. So for me, I wanted a product that I knew would enhance everything I was already doing that is backed up with solid evidence. So that's why I use Cellbeing by Verso. It has scientifically proven ingredients that fight the effects of aging by increasing NAD+ levels. That's the stuff that powers every cell in your body. Now, I've been taking the product for a number of months now, right at the start of my day. It has genuinely been transformative. I've found fasting easier and I've actually lost fat too. The team at Verso tell me that the reason I'm eating less is due to the product's blood sugar regulating effects, which leads to fewer cravings. And I'm sleeping better, waking up with more energy too. It's taken years off my life. The good thing is Verso actually publishes third-party testing from each batch produced, so you are guaranteed to get what you pay for. Now, I'm very excited to say that to mark the fact that Verso is the first sponsor of Outspoken, we are giving you an amazing offer. If you head now to buy.ver.so/outspoken, you'll save 15% on your first order. You just have to use the coupon code Outspoken. So remember to enter Outspoken. I'll put that link up, by the way, right now in our YouTube and Rumble descriptions. But to repeat, that's buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code Outspoken. And now back to the show, and hopefully we can see and hear Father Calvin Robinson now. Yes, there he is.
Sorry
Good
about that.
Stuff, Calvin. No. Absolutely fine. But look, I just don't know, Calvin. I just don't know about this one, because when it comes to James O'Brien, what I want him to do is start reflecting on his own rhetoric and stop calling for other people to be cancelled, I guess.
I'm with you, but unless there are consequences to his actions, he's going to continue. And I get where you're coming from as a free speech absolutist, but even free speech absolutists say that incitement to violence crosses that line, right? You can't yell fire in a crowded theatre. And that's what James O'Brien has done. That's what David Aronovich did. This is what the left are doing now. They're actually calling for incitement to violence. So they've crossed that Rubicon. They're no longer advocates of free speech, even if they proclaim they ever were. And so we have to give them some kind of consequences. Otherwise, there is never, ever going to be a level playing field between the left and the right.
But there isn't, though. There isn't. I mean, the fact that the BBC allows someone to continue presenting a show, even though he has called on the current president of the United States to assassinate, murder the former president of the United States. Then it actually happens, nearly, at least there was an attempt on the life of Trump. Still, the BBC has said absolutely nothing. David Aronovich is not excluded from polite society. It will be the same thing from LBC. So actually, when you look at what happened to you, to me, to Lawrence Fox, to Mark Steyn, it was actually all about trying to stop the development of a genuine media ecosystem in this country that embraces conservative views and embraces the right. I do think, Calvin, though, they've made a mistake, because actually it was much safer to have people like us as part of sort of the controlled opposition tent at GB News. The reality is now is that honest folk are realizing they're not going to get on any honest reporting from the mainstream media, and that's why they're turning to alternative news sources, including Outspoken.
This is the thing, isn't it? It was never actually about what we said. On the right, it's never been about what we said. Lawrence Fox said something a little bit crass. He got fired, you got fired, I got fired, whatever. It wasn't the words, it was who said it. They have a problem with us. We on the right tend to see the left as wrong. The left tend to see the right as evil. But the problem is their actions are evil, and there's no self-reflection there. The clip that you showed of the purple-haired person with the rainbow flag face mask on, who was saying, "I don't want political violence," yet I'm sorry that the shooter missed. They do not see the hypocrisy. This cognitive dissonance.
No, they don't. They don't. And it's really funny, actually. Sophie Ridge, who's one of the main presenters now on Sly News, used to be a colleague of mine in a former life. And when I criticised her very softball interviews with Slippery Stammer over the course of the election campaign, she messaged me. She clearly wasn't very happy about it. So when David Aronovich posted that tweet, I immediately sent it to her and I said, I'm assuming you're going to want to lead your show on this. And that was because, Calvin, I don't know if you remember, but the day that everything happened with me and Lawrence at GB News, Sophie Ridge had actually hosted Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister, on her show, and had decided that the most important issue of the day was Lawrence Fox and Dan Wootton, where Gordon Brown said they should not ever be allowed to broadcast in the UK again. Do you think Sophie Ridge and Sly News commented on those despicable threats by David Aronovich to the life of Donald Trump at all? Of course they didn't.
I've not seen them comment on it at all. James O'Brien's only getting attention on social media. This is the problem. It's not about what's said, it's about who's saying it. I've often been accused of, people saying it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Again, it's not what you say, it's not how you say it, it's the person speaking. They hate the right, they want to cancel us, they want to silence us. The only possible way we can get any ground back here is by using their own weapons against them and saying, well, you crossed that line, that's inappropriate, you are fired, or we will call Ofcom. Why don't we have a petition up? Why don't we have a link up pointing people to Ofcom to get James O'Brien fired? Because we are trying to be reasonable people and saying we're above cancel culture. Well, so be done with that. This guy has called for the killing, for the murder of a good man. It's inappropriate, it's wrong, it's immoral. So let's get him fired.
Yeah, so you're more in the place that Marjorie Taylor Greene is at. And wasn't that a beautiful exchange, Calvin?
She's like, no, you're done. You guys have no more questions. You are done. You are the problem. And she's right. And I think this actually exemplifies what's going on in the world, that people are waking up to the fact that the mainstream media are part of the establishment. There once was a time where the media held the establishment to account, but now the media are part of it. I think COVID exacerbated that quite a bit when, governments were giving massive backhanders to the mainstream media in order to stick to the approved narrative through the trusted news initiative and things like that. But the public are waking up and politicians are waking up and saying, well, if you guys are going to paint us as the bad guys all the time, why would we give you the time of day? It's not worth it. You talked about when we all had our issues with GB News. When I left GB News, I invited Sky News into my sitting room because they said, can we have a chat with you? So I invite them in, and what do? They try to get a gotcha moment of, are you a misogynist like your friend Lawrence Fox? Do you stand by Lawrence Fox's words? I'm like, I can only stand by my own words. I don't know what game you're playing, but I've been courteous and generous to give you the time of day and to invite you into my sitting room, and this is how you repay me. But it's always the way. They want that gotcha moment because they want to cancel us because they hate us.
Exactly. But then folk on the left who have said the most despicable things or done the most despicable things, like Alistair Campbell and Owen Jones, are never cancelled, still appear on the mainstream media. And that's why, Calvin, I don't want anything to do with them. I've been asked by the British Bashing Corporation to appear on their shows. No, I don't trust you. I don't want to be part of that ecosystem anymore. We have to create our own. And that's what I hope that I'm doing here. And I know you're doing the same thing with the brilliant Fox and Father. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.